All right. Hello and welcome to this week's Whole Week Costa. For Kev, I'm Jay. Today we're going to be talking about the 19th and 20th episodes of Season 2 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. We're going to talk about the second part of the two-parter, the ZIllo Beast Strikes Back, and the first part of a three-parter, Death Trap. Kev, you want to start us off with ZIllo Beast Strikes Back?
Yeah, the Republic forces bring the ZIllo Beast back to Coruscant for study. When it escapes, the Jedi must choose between saving millions of lives and destroying the ZIllo Beast, the last of its kind.
Did you think this is a bad idea last episode before you got to this episode?
I feel like we knew it was a bad idea. I feel like it's tough with a show because you sort of know it has to be a bad idea to continue the storyline, but even so, we talked about last podcast that why would they bring it there versus bringing it to some more remote planet and then just bringing the equipment to study it there in case it does get out. And
well, we'll talk about that in a few minutes because we get to that at the end of the episode. We know why,
and especially here. I mean, well, yeah, that's true. We do find out why later, but especially here. They bring them to like a major city too. It's not like they brought them to a remote area of Coruscant. So yeah, I don't know. Bad idea. But I liked, so the moral was the most dangerous beast is the beast within, which I feel like these morals are usually really well chosen for the episodes. And here it definitely is, right? Because I mean, the ZIllo Beast in the context of its home world, they were dangerous. Although this one basically just lay dormant until they disturbed it. But that wasn't really a beast within on, humanity or Malastarian kind. But here, the whole issue is that the beast is brought to study. It's the greed that brings the beast there that actually causes the damage, not the beast itself.
Yeah. So this episode... is going to be a bad idea. Things going to go wrong. But I do like the transition from the first episode in this arc of a Godzilla type monster, and they made this more of a King Kong type monster. So I think they made both monsters in this movie or in this episode. They brought two big beasts into this like fandom. They start with Godzilla and then they go into the original King Kong. Climbing the building and everything. Like the only thing we're missing is Emperor Palpatine having like a blonde wig on.
Yeah, I had that thought too. Yeah, when he climbs up to that one building, it also shows you. I thought the scene was interesting because the scene before that, they're showing you it's like this really like from the ground up close up perspective where you're seeing the scale of the beast and how massive it is. And then when they do that shot on top of a building, they do this sort of pull away where you see, how massive this civilization is, though. Like it's a fraction of even just a regular sized building in the city in Coruscant.
Oh yeah, it's gigantic. And what I was going to say earlier is I think Coruscant is like a city planet. I don't think there are deserted planets. I think the whole planet is Manhattan.
Yeah, that makes sense. I had a thought too. So then there was a good line too. I think it was Padme said the lines, they talked about how dangerous the beast was, and she said, "It's what we're capable of that scares me." And I thought the beginning was really interesting because they set up this sort of like, false choice of like, well, we either have to kill the beast and study it, or all these more troopers are going to die if we don't have the technology. And they, it seems like they really rushed into this. I mean, I don't get the sense, you can never tell exactly how much time has passed, but it doesn't seem like they tried multiple things over days or weeks to study this. They just like rushed right ahead, and it's like, well, we tried one thing, now we got to kill it.
Yeah, and then you have the moral conundrum of the doctor, like she's like, well, I'm a doctor, like I'm not supposed to hurt things, and then Palpatine's like, well, then you're gonna lose your job. And I really feel like at this point, Palpatine, when someone loses their job under Palpatine, like they lose their job, And then people were like, well, what happened to that doctor? And like, no one speaks of her again. Like, it's not like you lose your job. It's like you're erased, you're scrubbed from the history books
It's a
type
little,
deal.
it's a little Russia like with the stuff going on right now.
Right.
But yeah, yeah. I mean, the thought I had too was it was after the episode, because once this beast got out and ravaged part of the city. I mean, I was just thinking like in real life terms, like, well, now there's going to be, I mean, it's not like they can cover it up. Like if they just killed the beast, no one would really know. And I'll point about that in a minute. But now that this happened, it's been out in the public, like they're going to have to scapegoat somebody. So they're probably going to scapegoat this poor doctor and be like, oh, they didn't know what they were doing studying it. And they tried to euthanize it and they didn't follow any safety protocols. And like they're going to pin it all on somebody like on the research team and not really explain any of the rest of it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Palpatine's going to be like, oh, this is the doctor's fault, not mine. I wanted to stop it. I wanted to kill it immediately, before it caused all this destruction. And, the Jedi are these humble servants, these warriors. The Jedi aren't going to speak out against the Senate or the Council.
Yeah, and the scene with Padme and Anakin and the Chancellor was really good, where they're talking about what to do with it, and I think Padme says something about like isn't the point of democracy to debate this stuff and come to a consensus as to what to do? And then Anakin says back to her, of course, in wartime, some things must be kept secret from the public. Because Anakin's a real bros before hoes sort of guy. But it was an interesting point, because I mean, especially from Anakin, we know that obviously he turns into more of a dictator later on, and he just always sort of supports this like might makes right ideology. He's never really about democracy. He's about listening to the most powerful person, and he really shows it here.
Yeah, part of that is like he wants someone to like care about him. He wants that father figure. He wants someone to go like, "Good job, Anakin." And like Padme and Obi-Wan and Mace Windu or Yoda, they're not very like, "Good job, Anakin." They're very like, "Oh, well, you did your job. On to the next job." And like he wants that praise that no one else is giving him. So anytime he gets praise, from Palpatine, he like loves it. He wants to be on that side, that winning side, and you can see like how he starts transforming him.
Oh yeah, totally. I feel like the equivalent in our world is like he's like a spoiled like star athlete, that like grew up super talented and from a young age was sort of destined to make lots of money and be successful and famous. So then they never develop any personality outside of that, and it's just the drive for external praise is all that really drives them. So then they have these moments where they sort of break down, where they're not getting that and act out, and that's what we see from Anakin, I feel like, all the time.
So if we move on for that, something that like caught my attention is when and not very good at pronouncing these names, but we have Isla Sakura come with Yoda. And I'm like, oh no, at the end of this episode, Obi-Wan's definitely going to ask her to debrief in his quarters or something like that.
I don't know, she got that like midriff out and stuff.
Yeah, and then she had a very Pixar mom butt, if you noticed.
Yeah.
So yeah, so towards the end of this, once they actually do kill the beast very quickly, Palpatine hands the orders to the doctors, like, "Oh, here's your new orders." And I thought like he was going to send her off to like somewhere else to like hide her, because she did fail. So he could have that scapegoat, but nope. He was like, "Clone this."
Yeah, if you Google Ayla Sakura, just like regular Google search, you definitely get a few fan art pictures, if you know what I'm talking about. but anyway, yeah. The one I thought I had too related to Anakin was that one of the after the debate with Padme and the Chancellor, one of the clone troopers says to him something like, you know, you're going to miss all the fun. You have to get over here. And then Anakin smiles because he's, you know, that's what he knows. That's where he's comfortable. You know, he's comfortable fighting, you know, again, in those situations, he's comfortable in those situations where, you know, power is what's called for, you know, and there's no debate or there's no, you know, there's a very clear right and wrong, you know, you know, once the beast breaks out, then it's easy. Like they have to stop the beast, you know, there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah. And then they stop the beast, which we knew was going to happen.
Yeah. Cause it's only a 2-part episode. There's a great promotional poster on the Wikipedia for this episode where they clearly make it very like Godzilla like. It's pretty cool. I'll probably put it in the video.
Yeah, I talked about that last week. It's pretty cool. So, but I feel this episode was more. The first episode's Godzilla. This was more King Kong.
Agreed.
So, with the single-mindedness of going after Palpatine, just like King Kong goes for the blonde, and the single-mind, like climbing the building and everything, and then you have the troopers going around shooting it, like, you know, with helicopters, like the planes do.
Yeah. All right. Ready to move on to Death Trap?
Death Trap, which we get to see young Boba. Death Trap is the first part of a 3-parter. Kev, you want to give us a description on this episode?
A young boy wages war against the Jedi Knights who left him orphaned, bitter, and alone. So how surprised were you when it turned out to be Boba Fett?
Not surprised at all.
Really? How come?
I figured like this was going to be like curly hair boy, and I've kind of seen other promotional pictures of a young Boba Fett from looking at Boba Fett, so I kind of knew it was Boba Fett. And also when like he goes after like Mace Windu, like once he says Mace Windu, you're like, okay, cool, he's going after kill Mace Windu because Mace Windu killed his father.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I really had no idea. I was really surprised when he called on the intercom and they I don't know if they called him Boba or if he said it back in the intercom, but yeah, this was a good episode. Honestly, even before the actual plot twist, they really got into the meat of the episode. I really enjoyed the beginning, seeing these young clone troopers, because then again, there's the whole, you know, debate we always talk about like how expendable these people are, but they are people and they're all, you know, unique individuals in the Force and stuff, and to see them at a young age, and it's so apparently they're chronologically 6 years old. Obviously, they're, you know, they grow and mature faster than that, but they you know, just to see them, you know, sort of trained and inspired, and to see Anakin in particular wanting to come out and talk to them and inspire them, and the fact that again these kids grow up as with, you know, real hopes and dreams. I mean, it's all similar hopes and dreams of serving the Empire and becoming, you know, successful clone troopers, but still there's still a lot of personality there.
What I did like about this episode is we meet a new Admiral Killian, who's basically the captain of the Titanic. Like, it goes down the ship. He's Irish, you know. So I think that was like a pretty cool character, and like he is nice to like the clone troopers, but he's also like very battle heavy. Like you could tell like he is, well, I mean, he is a human, like a regular human, not a clone or anything, but you can really tell like he has a warrior side and a human side. You know, he treats them like soldiers, but also children.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think he respects, and you get this from the other clone troopers too, that, I mean, he respects that even though they're basically children, they're obviously very inexperienced as far as, you know, future soldiers go. They are still all on the same side. They're still going to be soldiers, so they still deserve, you know, some basic level of respect for that. I also like the fact with Admiral Killian that you see him almost die, which I mean even as a battle-hardened admiral, I mean, I mean, that might be the first time he personally almost died, right? Like, it's not like your ship gets almost blown up all the time. And then literally the next scene is him like messing around with the cadets, like, let's make it a training drill to get to the escape shuttles. Like he's like so calm, like 10 seconds later.
Yeah. But I think it's that disconnect where a lot of the clone troopers or a lot of the Jedi see the clone troopers as just clone troopers, where he sees them as like children. You know what I mean? And he treats them like children because they are, but other trainers probably treat them like, no one's given them a life. Like, they're born and bred to be soldiers, and he still treats them like he would treat his grandchildren. Let's make it a drill, guys, like real, like nice and everything. So it was very nice to see that like humanity out of the soldiers.
Agreed. Man, I forgot my next point was going to be about that. Sorry, go ahead, because I'm trying to think what I was going to say also about Admiral Killian.
Second best beard in the Star Wars galaxy.
That is true. Oh, I remember now. Sorry, I had to look back at my notes real fast. So I think as far as how they treat the clone troopers, I feel like there's a difference between inside a battle and outside a battle, at least for a lot of the Jedi. Definitely for Mace Windu, it seems that way. And Mace Windu seems to have more concern than some of the other Jedis for the clone troopers. But like, you can see when that clone trooper gets blown up outside of his quarters, and I mean, part of it in his case could be just that, he knows that was almost him that was blown up. But I mean, he like force pulls him away, and then he checks on him. And there's another trooper later in the episode where he's pretty concerned about too. So I feel like there's a difference between like the clone troopers when you're sort of in a more peaceful setting, and it's the clone troopers that you're working with, say on a ship or at a base or something, and you're sort of having more interactions with them versus like in battle time, like when these big battles, like the Battle of Geonosian stuff, like when it's a big group of clones and a big clone army, then I feel like they're treated as more dispensable. I think that's part of the point, of the face covering and the matching armor and everything, is that in battle you assign them to do the task they need to do, but then outside of battle there's a little more humanity there.
Yeah, they have to compartmentalize.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, I mean, the whole Boba Fett, and then, when they jettison the pods after they make that drill, and does Boba Fett like malfunction the pod, or does it malfunction on its own?
So he malfunctioned it, but I thought that was like one of those things, like, well, why would that button exist? I mean, I guess it must be something where maybe it's something that's you're supposed to be able to do when it's like at a slower speed or something, because he like extended there was like a little wing that extended off and then it broke off. So I don't know if it was something that like you're not supposed to do at high speed like that, or like why there would be a button that would just blow up part of the ship.
Yeah, he had to have known that if you push that button at high speeds, it'll malfunction and go into space or whatever. He had to have known that.
Yeah, because he only hit the one button. I mean, it was clearly the plan.
Yeah, and then the Slave One shows up and rescues the little bounty hunter.
Yeah, it was a real touching scene. But then, why? The part that I thought was stupid was that, I mean, those bounty hunters would just kill those kids. They wouldn't like leave them in their pod where clearly like people are looking for them nearby.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the pod went off course and they lost them because space is a big empty vast, open area. But it's not like they went so far away. It's not like they light speeded out of there and they hit, there was a jump. Like, they're eventually going to find those pods.
Yeah, like it's like they're going a couple blocks away. Like it might take a little while, but if they stay put, eventually somebody's going to find them.
Also, I don't think a children's show is going to show them murdering children.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to you don't have to show it. You could have had them like what I thought they were going to do. She talked about like basically jettisoning them. You could have showed like the ship detach with like the port still open or something. You know, that's what I thought they were going to do. Not like shoot them necessarily. Although, I mean, that's probably what the bounty hunters would realistically do.
You know, but you know, I'm looking forward to the next 2 episodes. See where that goes.
One other point about this. So I feel like the child voices were amazing. I feel like they really sounded so much like the adult clone voices, but childlike. It was really well done.
Yeah, they definitely had that like accent, but also children.
Yeah, I was wondering how they did it. I was wondering if they. I guess I could look up which voice actors did it. If they had the same voice actors with a different voice or a different voice actor where I was like, okay, make a childlike clone voice, or if they use some sort of like voice changing thing to just do the same voice but then change it post production. You know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess that's something we'll definitely have to look up because if there's no cast. I looked at the cast; it doesn't show them on the Wikipedia, so I guess we could look it up later.
Yeah, I think that's all I probably have for this episode.
Yeah. So, well, thanks for listening. Tune in next week. Check out our YouTube. Kev's making the videos. So check out our podcast at Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcast. Search Whole Week Costa for over 100 episodes. Now we're at episodes I think 22 or 23 for the Clone Wars. Check us out on YouTube. Please subscribe, like our videos. For Kev, I'm Jay. Thanks for listening.